What's going on, guys? So today is going to be a very interesting day. We will be installing this 15,000 BTU air conditioning system from TOSOT on top of the Brookstone. We'll be removing a Coleman Mach 3 air conditioning system. It's a quiet cool system, and replacing it with this. Now here is the caveat. This is a non-ducted air conditioner, which means the air that comes out of it is going to be blowing directly out of the inside portion of this shroud that you'll see right above you when you're in the bedroom looking straight up. And this is designed to just blow air straight out from the ends, straight down on you. So it's not going to feed any additional air into the ductwork of the RV. The challenge here is that the ACs in the RV are ducted. So we're doing some interesting things here. We recently replaced the very back air conditioning system with a Furrion Chill Cube 18,000 BTU AC. Super quiet, absolutely amazing air conditioning, but it is a ducted air conditioning system. So it's designed to duct into, or at least to feed the air into the duct system that's already in the RV. But this one's going to be different, and let me explain why. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so we are inside of the Brookstone. Click some lights on. As you can see, Furrion Chill Cube 18K ducted. So this one feeds air into this duct system that's here. Then we have the Coleman Mach air conditioning, which is also ducted. And then up front in the bedroom, we have another Coleman Mach air conditioning system that is also ducted. Now, these systems are really nice. They're super quiet and they've been working well, except for the last one, which started to make a noise, so we took it out. But this is ducted. However, the thing that's working for us is that Coachman with the Brookstone doesn't use a racetrack air conditioning system, which means that what you see back here pretty much comes off of a single branch coming back. So whenever we take this unit out, essentially what we need to do is close off the ducting or cover it up so the air coming from the front doesn't make it to the back here. We don't need the ducted air conditioning to come through here anymore, since we're going to have an independent system that will be direct fire with its own thermostat remote control that we'll have in the actual bedroom space. And I take that back. It's not a thermostat remote control, but the AC has the thermostat in it. So this is going to be a really cool upgrade, and it's going to give us literally some really cool air going into the bedroom. Now, what's cool about the one we're putting in here, that TOSOT, is the fact that it also has a heat pump built into it. It's a variable speed fan. The compressor is not variable speed, but if you watch the video where we set it up, you'll see that we actually installed a soft start kit that came with the AC. So this was actually provided by the folks over at TOSOT. They're really, really confident that they make an absolutely super quiet competitive system, and that they offer a good value option for those looking for a really, really quiet air conditioning system with variable speed fan, direct remote control, and a heat pump built into it. So this is going to be interesting, because what's going to in essence happen now is that the two AC units over here, both the Furrion unit and the Coleman unit, will be pumping air into the ducting system, which should make it more efficient for these spaces. It's not going to make it efficient for the bedroom, but that doesn't matter, because the AC in the bedroom will be independent. So that's going to be really, really cool, pun intended. So again, once we block that off, it's going to essentially force the air from these two units to feed more air into the mid-bunk, feed more air up into the loft area, and hopefully this will make for a really, really good upgrade once we add the TOSOT unit up front. But that's going to be the video today, so let's kick this thing off. Okay, so I've already disassembled the interior panel. Whenever you get it, it's all kind of connected together, and I had to take this piece off right here because that's your interior mounting bracket, as well as where you're going to run your wires to. And then this piece will snap over it whenever we're done on the inside, just to be sure, because the challenge I ran into when I put the Furrion unit in was the bolts weren't long enough, and they include both the long and short bolts with it, which are nice, but sometimes the long bolts just aren't long enough. So I went out and I bought my own much longer threaded rods in the same thread pattern, and I can use these if I run into some type of a problem, and I can cut these down if I need to as well. So this is going to be really awesome. We're going to go ahead and remove the Coleman unit from on top of the RV using the excavator. And once we do that, we should be able to place this new unit up there. Okay, so I've made a ton of videos on removing air conditioning units. It's actually pretty simple. You simply turn off all your power, make sure your AC is turned off, make sure DC is turned off, just kill all power to your unit, That's probably the single most important safety thing I can recommend. Make sure there's no power going to your AC in any form. And then you're going to loosen these 4 bolts that essentially hold it in place. But before you do that, you're going to have some connections up here, and you're going to want to disconnect all of this, and you're really going to want to cap off anything that is not going to be used in the new system. In the case of this unit, because we have thermostat controls that are controlling this from a wall thermostat, and we're not going to be using them anymore, really the only thing that's going to be remaining here is going to be my power connections. So once we get to the point of actually connecting this, we're actually going to just cut this line off, and then all the rest of this stuff will just be capped off, because we're going to have all of these acting as thermostat wires. So these all go to the thermostat, so you can control this from there. We're not going to be doing that anymore. Again, all we're going to essentially need is our power connection going to the new unit to be able to power it, because all the main controls are on a remote and are also on the panel itself, which is going to be really, really convenient when you're in the bedroom, so you can mess with your air conditioner without having to go to the thermostat to make those changes. And I really, really like that. Okay, so I have these wires disconnected from the AC unit. I have them split up as well. And then I have all of the wires that were plugged in from the RV to the control box up there, all disconnected, taped off, and bundled up. And those will live in this little space right over here. And now I need to get up on the roof after loosening these so I can remove the old AC unit and position the new one up here. Okay, so we have the bracket off and all the bolts are out, and this AC unit will actually just lift off the roof now. Might be stuck a little bit, but we'll get it off. Okay, so we are on the freshly cleaned roof of the RV. This time I actually hired somebody to come out here and do it, and they only charged me $200 to clean the roof of the Brookstone, as well as the roof of the Surveyor, the right way. He actually knew exactly what he was doing. Some of these rust stains, though, they're kind of permanent, but he did a phenomenal job. He even cleaned the solar panels and everything else he could get to. Did an absolutely great job. But yeah, we're not up here to talk about that. We are up here to remove this and to replace it with that. So I'm going to muscle this one off, get this one in place. I like that this one sits just a little bit lower as well, so that's going to be really nice. But let's go ahead and swap that out, and for me it's going to be a few minutes. For you it'll be no time at all. Okay, so I brought some release up here so I could clean some of this up. There's the hole going into the bedroom. We're going to clean this perimeter, and then we're going to scoot the new TOSOT over to this opening so we can continue along. You can see dirt daubers and stuff got underneath here, basically a spot that there was no way that the cleaner could have gotten to. Let's get all this cleaned up so we can go ahead and position the AC unit. Okay, so we have it in place. Old one's off. Let's go on the inside and see if we've lined this up right. Okay, so it's getting a little warm in here, even though it's cold outside. The sun is certainly heating things up. We have the AC in place. A little bit different type of mounting. The mounting bracket they use here is rectangular and not square. So this is the one that was for the Coleman, and the one that's going to be on here is this large rectangular box. So this will face, I believe this is going to face this way, but we'll see. Once we read the instructions, we'll see exactly what the orientation of that is. Okay, so the ducting in this RV is a little confusing, but I'm going to try to explain it. So this is not a racetrack system, which means it doesn't have ducting that goes completely around and circles back. Basically, it comes in this way, and then it meets this AC. So this AC, when it's on, is either going to blow that way or this way, and it can probably create kind of a roadblock. But it continues on right here. It goes to this one, then it goes to the center, and then it branches to this one, branches to these, and then comes back and stops right about here where the other AC vent is. So the air's blowing in this way, it's blowing in that way, and with the traditional system that is, and it's kind of getting caught up in this area. So we are going to actually cut off the ducting to this part of the RV from the other systems. We're only going to have this AC system mounted in here, and the rest of the system, again, it's going to be cut off from it. So I'm going to put a little wedge right here that'll actually prevent air from going into the rest of this, which is going to be really nice because it'll feed more air into the bathroom, into the mid bunk, and everything else through the ducting, while this AC will be just for the bedroom. So we're going to start with that. I have to put this together. So this is the upper ducting for the, or what do they call it here? They call this the fabric duct. And I'm basically going to put this piece over here, and I'm going to fold this back and peel the 3M tape off and adhere it to this ledge. So whenever I put it in place, it pinches it and it creates a seal. Okay, so I've blocked it off. I don't know if you can see that. Basically what I did was I took this piece of insulation, which was used in the Coleman to separate the return air from the actual blower, and I cut it into some pieces that I could use to block off that section right there. So now the air is not going to blow into this area at all, and we'll use the AC in here to keep this area cool independently. And I don't really believe I have to worry about some of this, but I'm going to close it off with ducting tape regardless. So let's go ahead and get this in place so we can begin the process of getting everything mounted and secured down. Just so you can see what this is supposed to look like when it's done, you just tape it to the outer edge like that, and then we'll screw this into that right there. Okay, so we have the soft ducting in place for the upper portion. Get this mounting bracket up there so we can actually secure the AC to the roof. Okay, so this turned out to be a bit of a nightmare, and it's not because of TOSOT, it's because of these incredibly thick ceilings and roof structures that are on these Brookstones. I'm going to tell you, I thought that this was going to be a lot simpler, and I knew that the bolts that were included, they have two sizes of bolts. I think these are like 7 inches, and they have like a 5-inch bolt. And for most applications, these are perfectly fine. But what I've found in the past working on this Brookstone and replacing ACs is that the roof structure up here is super thick, and in most cases, you cannot reach it through with the bolts that are included. So I went out and bought 10-inch long bolts. Not even kidding you. 7 inches, 3 inches longer, and they still barely fit until they started to snug. So I only had like maybe 1/8 of an inch of thread coming out. I was able to get a nut started on it to be able to pull down and compress the little foam right there to actually give me enough to lock onto. And I had to do 3 of them, then take them all off and go back and retighten them, because these are threaded rods and they're not traditional bolts. So it posed other issues of how much thread is actually going into the AC unit. But we got it all mounted. Looks good. I'm going to trim the edges here so I can use the inner ring, or the inner bezel, which is this one right here, to hold it in place. And that will create the ducting that blows out to the vent. So basically the air will come in from the sides, and that's your return air, and then the blower is going to blow air out into this area right here, which will then feed it to the vents right here at the back and front that will blow down into the room. So we're going to get this cut, trimmed off, and we'll put the bracket on, and then hopefully we'll be able to get to the wiring aspect, which is right here, which I have to move it over to this side so I can connect my wiring. Okay, so we have it in place, we have it tightened down. We might trim this off. I don't know if that could create some wind noise when the air is blowing by it, so I'll probably just take a quick razor knife and just trim all of that off, so it just reduces the chance of any unwanted noise. Okay, so we have power connected, or at least the wiring connected. We haven't actually turned the power on yet. You can see we have our white going to neutral, black going to live, and we have our grounds connected. And we have the wire going through here. I added that little rubber bushing right there just to prevent the wire from chafing against the steel edge there. And then there was one already on place there. Everything looks like it's done well here. I already trimmed off that excess ducting from around there. This is going to plug into the ceiling unit right there, and then we'll be able to turn it on and see how it works. Okay, so we have the connector between the top unit and the control panel connected. So the front of the unit is actually this way. It's basically where the control panel is. So this is going to be the front of the unit. That's the back of the unit. Your power box is in here, and you can connect your control box right here, or at least, sorry, the actual unit controls. We have the cover screwed in. This is a bit of a pain because you have to kind of align it. There's not any guide to really get it directly over the screws, so you have to kind of wiggle it around and shimmy it until the screws line up. But once they do, you tighten them until they're snug, and then you simply put these little caps right here, and they can seal all that. So I've had my dad helping me here in the background, and he's been that extra set of hands off camera. A couple other things real quick to change out your filters or to clean them out. You have a filter on each side like this. This is your return air. Your louvers right here come out on both ends whenever you have it turned on, and that's where the air is going to blow from. Or you have your direct fire right here if you want it to blow straight down, or you have it on fan mode, or however you want to use it like that. A couple things to keep in mind is that the return air is essentially the space above that channel that we put in that also clamps the AC unit down. So if you have any openings into your roof section or the ceiling section, you need to close those off. Otherwise, you're likely going to be drawing in the dust and whatever debris inside of your ceiling, because there's probably a lot of it up there. Just take my word for it. And it's never actually going to go through the filters right here. So it's literally going to be blowing it in and blowing it back out, which is not what you want. So I spent some time kind of sealing up any openings. Main opening really was where the wires came in for the RV. Closed all that up, but I am super interested in seeing how this thing works. So let's go ahead and kick power back onto the RV. We'll get batteries in the remote and test it out. Okay, so power has been restored. We're going to turn this thing on for the very first time. Let's do it with the remote and see what happens. Here's the remote. You see you have your mode, fan, minus, plus, power, menu, set, LED, and turbo. So turning it on. Presumably I set up the soft start kit properly. See the louvers opening up. Air is blowing. You're not supposed to manually articulate or move these louvers because it says do not adjust them. So basically what you want to do is utilize the remote or the control pad to adjust those louvers, but you don't want to do it by hand. I don't know when the compressor kicks on. Hopefully I'll be able to hear it. It's not blowing cold air at the moment, but it should be very soon. Oh, we don't have it set to a feature yet, so let's change it to cool. Have the fan speed on auto. Let's drop the temperature down. I think I just heard the compressor kick on. There we go. Compressor just kicked on. And we have cold, a little colder. On the other side. Okay. So we just switched it to heat pump. We put it on 80 degrees. Yeah, it's already warming air. Yeah, you can definitely tell the air is warm. It took about 3 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes for it to kick over because there's some changes on the inside that need to take place for that to happen. So here is where the real advantage of this unit comes into play, is the fact that you can get something really quiet like this that is 15,000 BTU, pumps a lot of air, and it has a heat pump built into it. So if you need that, you have it. And yeah, it's definitely blowing warm air now. And it's really quiet. Very, very quiet unit. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Anyways, I will drop a link to this in the description of this video if this is something you're interested in. Big shout out to TOSOT for providing this unit for review and evaluation. This company literally just said, we'd like to send one for your honest review, and there were no terms to it. It was basically, they didn't even try to have terms to it. It was basically, we're going to send it to you and you review it, and that's what I'm doing. So I like it. I think it's a pretty good value, and I love the fact that it has a heat pump built into it, which gives it an advantage over the Chill Cube right now, at least. By the time you watch this video, if you're watching it a couple months or years from now, I can't tell you if that's going to change, but hopefully it does. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again very soon.